I didn't make it. Did you get my message?
I thought you were here and you said I didn't make it.
No,
That's what I thought.
Yeah, we don't see, I don't see anybody.
I didn't make it.
I don't see anybody. I'm just dreaming, right?
Yes, you are.
Might be in by the towel.
This is a good dream.
Sometimes.
This minute.
It has its moments. I was thinking that most talks, really what I'm doing is trying to give you perspective. You know, when you're thinking about yourself all the time and what you're feeling and what you're thinking and what you're doing and where you're going and all these things about your little life, and you lose perspective. I think this is why the astronauts are so struck when they go out and then they see the Earth and they're away from the gravitational pull and the atmosphere, and it's like, ooh, you know, there's this dot in the universe and all these humans exist in it, and I can't even see them. You know? It's like, you see, you get some perspective. But when you're constantly lost in your thoughts and your feelings, you lose that perspective. And you're thinking the world is you, because that's the world you live in, the world that is a byproduct of this body-mind. And so what I always go back to is what Ramesh's guru, Nisargadatta, used to say. Who were you before you were born? Who will you be after you die? And what makes you think that you're any different now? So it's a matter of perspective. The thing about this world and these bodies and your thoughts and your feelings is that all of them have a very short shelf life. All of them come and go and are constantly changing. So when you're identified as the person who has thoughts and feelings, you're identified in a world that is constantly changing, and it's a smoke and mirrors show. It doesn't have any shelf life. I mean, you know, no matter how important you think what you're doing might be, in 1,000 years it's going to be meaningless. The thing to realize is that now it's meaningless as well. That'll lighten your load. Says the meaningless one.
Not me.
Exactly, not you. So you see, if you can live your life with perspective, knowing that this is just something that comes and goes, you do your life the way you do it, you do what you think you should do, you take the actions that feel right to you, etc. But your perspective is that that's not who you are. Your perspective is that you are that which you were before you were born, and that which you will be after you die. That there is something within you, within everyone, that has no limits, that never changes. There's a consistency, you see. So what I like to say is, in essence, our essence is identical. The same thing that makes your heart beat makes my heart beat. And without that, nothing happens, right? But we forget about that because we're too involved with our supposed important things. But you see, so if you have perspective, then you have a certain sense of peace that you carry with you throughout all of it. And then all the conflicts in the mind, all that stuff that's constantly changing, feelings that you like, feelings that you don't like, things that you're happy with, things that you're sad with, all that is over here. And in the center is just a sense of being, a sense of presence, which never changes. You know, why would you want to hook up everything to something that's constantly changing? That'd make you nuts. Oh, yes, it would. Fortunately, this identification with the body-mind only lasts for a short time, a lifetime or so. And after that, it's gone. So, you know, you're thinking a lifetime's a long time, but in a million years, you won't think that. It just seems like a long time when you're in it. You have a dream at night, and everything seems real, and it's you know, all these things are happening, and you're having all these feelings and everything going on, and then you wake up and instantly it's a dream. You can barely remember it. Well, that's this life. It's just a longer dream. This is a dream that lasts a lifetime, which when you're in the lifetime seems like a long time. But if you have perspective, it's not a long time at all. It's very short. So I welcome you all to enjoy a life with perspective. That it doesn't mean that you don't do anything. You continue to do your life. You continue to do the things you think you should do. But you know, that's not the be-all or end-all. It's like, while you're watching a movie, you get totally involved in it. You forget about the theater. You forget about your work. You forget about all the stuff going on. You lose yourself in that movie. That's the way it's done. For a lot of people, that's enjoyable, you see. That's how you enjoy it. And that's how it is with this life. You know, people just dive right in. They forget about everything else. And for a few, not for everyone, but for a few, it gets old. You know, for me, I wasn't that happy. I realized that making money, relationships, all the different things in life that happen, that wasn't enough. And I was lucky enough to have met Baba, who's in the center there. And he seemed to have this thing I was looking for, complete contentment. He was always okay. No, I came to find out as I knew him better, he had moods. It didn't mean he never got angry, but he was always okay. You know, Baba could be yelling at someone and loving someone the next moment. It didn't matter, just things came and went. He didn't identify with any of it. He wasn't concerned with how it appeared. He wasn't living in that world. His world was one of complete peace with everything. You see, you can be sad, you can be angry, you can be whatever it is, even happy, and still be at peace. Personal happiness is temporary. We've all experienced it, and it never lasts. It's a temporary state. But this sense of presence, of being, this sense of connectedness with everything is a peace that doesn't have an opposite. You see? Whereas personal peace has an opposite, and it's coming. You see? So what you want to find is the love that is so great that it has no opposite, that just embraces everything. It embraces even the absence of love. That's all I got. You go. You can go home now.
Ananta,
Yes.
can you really be angry and at peace at the same time?
Yes.
It seems like a difficult. How do you really be angry if you're really angry? And at the same time, I mean, I can see myself loving myself for being angry, and that brings peace, but how do you hold anger and peace at the same time?
Well, you see, you're looking at everything as a personal experience. You see? No. That would be natural, you see. So you're thinking peace is a personal experience. You see, now people meditate and then they have this occasionally, amazing experience of just interconnectedness with everything. And basically, there's no one there when that happens. And there's just a feeling of being that is awesome and overwhelming.
So then how would anger come into that place?
Well, you see, what happens is then the person says, oh, that's it, I got it. But it was never for you as a person. If I could shut you down, if I could just shut you down for a moment, just take that switch and go to the mind, and all you had was just this moment of being, then it wouldn't matter what else was going on, you see? So it's like that. You have your personal life front and center. You have happy, sad. I want happy, I don't want anger, I want to feel this, I don't want to feel that, okay? That's me land, okay? That's the illusionville. Okay, so you're living in that world, and you're saying, well, how do I get this? Well, you see, the thing is that this sense of peace, this sense of being, it has you. And you don't get to have it. The illusion doesn't get to have reality.
Right.
You see, reality owns the illusion, but the illusion you can't get from fake to real, you see? So, sorry. But you see, so it's all right. You need to just realize that this is already, you don't need to do anything, but just realize that this is already there. It's already there. You don't have to do anything to get there because it's who you are. You are already the one who you were before you were born, the one who you will be after you die, and that's a peaceful place. And so this character can go on and do whatever the hell it wants. It can be angry, it can be happy, it can be sad, whatever.
Okay, yeah.
But that peace that I'm talking about embraces all of it. It doesn't pick and choose. You pick and choose. You say, well, this is anger. I can't be at peace when I'm in anger. You know? But you see, that's all personal. If you have the television set on and you're not particularly paying attention to it, just occasionally, and there's some drama going on, and sometimes you go, okay, whatever. You see? But you have your life. You're doing your real thing, right? So it's like that. Let this life be that TV set, and that drama, and that adventure, and that whatever feelings are coming up. Let all that happen. But you are not that. Okay? Right now you have a front row to that because you can't find the switch to turn off the TV yet. God will take care of it. Eventually your show will get canceled. But in the meantime, you have this. Now, but there is an advantage here, you see, because consciousness is everything. God is everything. So while God is busy just being, There is no one ever going, I am. There's no one aware of it, you see? Because you're everything. What's the point? So in this world, there's the appearance of differences, of separation. So in this world, in this body, there is the awareness of I am, which is unique. So there's a certain sense, so it's a peace that's palpable. It's palpable because of this appearance of separation, you see. So you know, you have that advantage. But this is not a place for you to get to because you're already there. You see? So keep that in mind. Keep it in mind that you've just been focusing on that which you are not. You see? And that's drawn all of your attention. Now, really, you see, all you need is that switch. And people do different things for it, you see. People meditate, people chant. There are all kinds of practices you can do that help with that switch so that the mind is, at least temporarily, still. When the mind is still, the experience of this is, it changes, you see. Then, and that's what you want. So if you can have some of that in your daily as a reminder, then this will become very familiar to you. And just try not to be fooled. see if you can, you know, try to just be. And when you catch yourself involved with this personal character, just catch it. And you see, if you catch it, it usually poofs, you see. Because that's what illusions do when they're seen. They disappear. It's the nature of an illusion.
So, would you say this is wrong? You achieved enlightenment, so that's not really.
No,
what
that's not
happened.
correct.
I know. So why would I say, oh, we have Ananta, he achieved it, and so.
There's
what's
no,
wrong with
well,
that?
because it's just the way that you express it.
Right.
But it's not correct. Because if it was something that I could achieve, it wouldn't be enlightenment. It would be something else. It would be another temporary experience, wouldn't it? You see. So
how would you describe it then? What's the best way to?
you know, when I went to Ramesh, there's Ramesh. At first, he wouldn't even call it enlightenment. He would say he had a hard time because he knew it wasn't the right thing, the right word. So he would say, "Your so-called enlightenment." You see? Eventually, he gave in and just started using the word because, you know, what are you going to do? And when it first happened, I said to someone, I said, well, you know, I described what I was experiencing. And she said, well, that sounds like enlightenment. And I said, well, if it is enlightenment, it's not what I was seeking. You see, so it's the enlightenment just happens, if you want to call it that. And you know, I don't have any problem with words because none of them are true anyway. So you just, you know, use whatever word you want as long as it gets the point across. But it just happens, you see? It's not something that you can get. How in the world can you do something to be who you already are? You see? How do you get that? You can't get that.
Would like self-realize be a better way of saying it?
Self-realized is a good way of saying it.
So he realized that he had enlightenment?
he realized his true self, you see. Enlightenment's not a possession. No one can have it. Yeah. You can have a lot of things in life, but not enlightenment. Ramesh used to tell the story about the banker, that, you know, someone works to make $1 million. You know, they have an apprenticeship and they study and they do all the different things that they need to do to learn how to make money, and they finally look at their bank account, there's $1 million, and they can have a party. He says it's exactly the same for enlightenment. You go to a guru, you go to someone who knows, you study, you practice, you meditate, whatever it is, and then when the enlightenment happens, there's no one there to celebrate. That's the only difference. The identification with yourself as an individual basically diminishes until the point where it's not relevant anymore. I mean, it doesn't mean that you just sit in the corner and crap your pants. You still do life, but you don't identify. You don't identify. These are your thoughts, your feelings, your actions. You see? Then this is why they say the enlightened beings don't create karma, because there's no doer. There's no sense of doership, which is the necessary ingredient for creating karma. So did that answer?
Right, there's no me there. So if somebody cuts you off in traffic,
It doesn't mean that you won't respond.
Right.
You know, it doesn't mean you're not going to say anything. But
You still might flip them off and say,
right,
"What'd you
but
do
no
that
one's
for?"
going to be personally identified with all that.
Right.
No one's going to think, oh, I shouldn't have done that. Oh, why did they do this? You know, it's just like
It happened.
it happened. It happened, you responded, you did what you did, and there's no chatter that goes on afterwards. That involves, in order for that to happen, there has to be personal involvement with your actions. A sense that you did it, and then you live in then that builds on it, and all of a sudden you're living in a world of all these thoughts of regret and pride and everything else that goes in when you're personally involved with your actions. When you're not personally involved, you don't have any of those side effects.
So would you say your regrets of any past doings have fallen away? Like you don't look at the past and say, I wish I would have, could have, or
Not in any serious way, no.
no, it's kind of
Oh,
like
yeah. All of that.
that burden is gone.
Oh, totally. And if I do something well, I don't have any sense of pride, like I did something. Because I don't have a feeling that I did anything. You see? So you know, Kelly wishes I would apologize more. But I don't have a feeling I did anything. If she tells me, then I'll apologize to her as a courtesy. You see? But it doesn't come up naturally. You see? It's a hard road for her.
You say that as such regret.
I'm all tears. Unconditional love is a bitch.
Really. She didn't realize it works both ways.
Yeah.
You get the good and the bad.
Oh yeah. It can be rude.
Or maybe unexpected, or might startle someone who
What's
wasn't
that?
used to it. The unconditional love part.
Oh yeah, it could. It could, but you know, I've been raised in this society. I know how to keep things in line. It's not like I go up to the cashier and hug her. So I know what the rules are.
Ananta, did Ramesh ever talk about, was his experience with Nisargadatta, is that more of a slow burn? Or did he ever speak about a certain time where something suddenly clicked?
I don't recall that, but it was more like very matter of fact, like he knew. He absolutely knew right away. It was like he was so ripe at that point. You know, he had retired, and in India you retire when you're 60. He had read an article. The guy was within walking distance. He went over and saw him, and he just knew. He had never clicked with all. He had a spiritual path, and there were different gurus and so, but he had never clicked with any of them. They were more just traditional within the family, kind of village kind of thing. But when Nisargadatta spoke, he was speaking directly to what resonated with Ramesh. And that was the same as it was for myself with Ramesh. You see, so it was a matter of complete resonance. And you see, so his sadhana, his spiritual journey was very short, a few years. Mine was 21 years, you see. So I was slow. But you see, he was totally right. I was young. You know, Ramesh would always say to me, I don't understand. You're a young man. What is your rush? What do you think you're going to do when you get there? He was right, but I'm impatient by nature. What to do?
So on enlightenment, the self that seeks enlightenment ceases to exist, or is there another thing within you that is not self, that is actually the one that's trying to remember its true format? So that, it's always fascinating when you hear the self disappears when the goal is reached, and so there's nobody around to actually experience the event. But then doesn't a self run like crazy? I mean, we do all run from that, don't we, really?
Run from
enlightenment. If
well,
the self ceases to exist, the self wouldn't want to.
It's not in the ego's best interest.
Right.
So it's like ego, self was separate, identified creation that's distinct from what remains when you reach enlightenment.
You know,
Not to get too problem solving.
well, you know, I'm using words here for something that can't be described, but I'm pretty good at it, and I've got a lot of good concepts for you. But they're just concepts. So, you know, Ramesh used to say it's a complete annihilation of the ego. I'm not that extreme about it. The truth is, everything is exactly the same, but your perspective is totally different. So the me who you think you are now, the one who's seeking, ultimately loses its position. Its position now is it's in charge. And that's you. You see? That personal identification is what ceases. So just being in this moment, there's no me. There's no sense. There's just this sense of being. The me gets added later. After that experience, the me says, that's it. You see, and as soon as the me does that, the experience is gone. Because the me is a veil. And it covers up what is. So there's this process of seeking where you're going after something. And like I said, I spent 21 years at that. I loved it. It was great. And I was going after something I really wanted above all else. Ultimately, the seeker dies. You see? Well, you can imagine that once you have what you want, you don't need to get it anymore. So that stops. In most cases, it's required. It's so weird because the me, who is the obstacle, is required to go after that, which goes beyond it. You see? In most cases, not in all. In my case, it was. In my guru's cases, it was, except for Shree. Shree was special. He was considered enlightened at birth. Who's this guy? So you're doing correctly. The ego, here's the thing about the ego. The ego has all these different levers it pulls to control things. The biggest one, the ultimate one, is fear. Okay? So ultimately you have to be able to face that. You see, if you're going to move beyond it. And you know, really, what is fear anyway? It's just a sensation. It's a sensation that the mind and the body have used to keep things continuing. You see, if you had no fear, then you go to the Grand Canyon and you take that extra step just to experience it. You put your hand in the fire and you listen to that crackling sound and smell that aroma and go, this is really interesting, and die. You see, so fear keeps it so you pull your hand away, so you don't do that stuff, so the body can live. You see? No, your body has lived a long time now. I think you got the rules down. You're okay. So now, when you're talking about fear, the ego's fear of maybe losing its position, let's say, so what? It's just a sensation, you see. It's one of my books, I described it like facing the dragon, you know. You have to be able to sit with fear and have that okay. If it becomes the thing that stops you, if it becomes a stop sign, then the ego is successful at controlling your life, you see, in ways that you don't want it to be. You still want it to succeed when it comes to things that are dangerous for the body. But the emperor has no clothes, you see. This is not who you are, this body-mind. And the mind likes being in charge. It likes you believing it's in charge. But what does that get you? That gets you to live in a world that is not peaceful, in a world which is constantly changing, in a world that's high anxiety, really. So if you want to move beyond that, then you have to move beyond the mind. And let the mind do its thing over here, instead of over here. Okay? That's the only difference. It's just that it's diminished, its position. You see? There were people from Europe who came to America and claimed this land as theirs. They were not correct. But they claimed it. And so the ego has claimed that it is you, and you are theirs. But it's not correct. I can prove this. After you die, you let me know who you are then. And Jim's not going to come up. That's going to be something else. You see? So you just really all that's needed is perspective. You see? And, yes.
So is non-ego void? So once the is moving over here, what's over here?
Well, for your mind, it's nothing.
Right.
But in all other respects, it's everything. You see, your mind can only perceive that which has distinction, that which appears to be different. but ultimately everything's the same. So your mind cannot perceive that at all. We talk about God, we talk about absolute peace, but that's not anything your mind could ever perceive. It's not designed to. Your mind is designed to help you navigate this illusion of distinction, where there seems to be differences, where things seem good, things seem bad, things seem green, things seem white, it just goes on, all these distinctions, and that's what your mind's designed to do. Your mind is not designed to know that which is everything. It's beyond its capabilities. That which is everything is who you are. You see? So your mind can't go there. That's why I was saying, you can't get there from here, because you already are there. Think about what is making your heart beat right now. You see, that's beyond you. You didn't start this mess. You didn't even start the thought that comes into your head. You don't know where it came from. It just came. All these things that are going on that you claim are yours, you don't even know where they came from. So go back. Go back to the source of it all. You see? And then you have a different perspective. And this, you're just lost in this identification of the mind and its thoughts and its feelings, and that's fine. But it doesn't make it who you are. That's fine. Just let it be over here. And all the time there is this union. There is this oneness. I like to say in here sometimes, oneness fills the room. Really, all that's going on is complete unicity with everything. That's all that's ever happened. And it didn't even happen because it's all there is. You see? So you're focused on this little me world, and there's billions of people focused on their little me world in China and India and Europe and here, everywhere, and it's like laughable. It's so funny because this little me world has no meaning at all. You go up in a plane and you see there's some people there, look, little ants, and then you can't even see them anymore. It's like, but they're all there thinking me, 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 and it's just entertaining, really. So you don't have to live there, at least not full time. You see, this is a temporary phenomenon, and things are constantly changing, but you are always what is. So there's no word for it, really. You see, so like Ramesh used to say, all there is consciousness. And Baba used to say, God dwells within you as you. You see, they're saying the same thing. They're saying, there's somewhere else you could be looking. You see. Did that help at all? Okay. Yeah.
Was it Ramesh that said consciousness and this all-encompassing love are the same thing?
He did. He said that to me because he spoke very intellectually, and he had very good concepts. They were like logical concepts. I said, "Well, Ramesh, you never speak of love." And then what are you talking about? That's all I've ever talked about. You see, so it's just the words that he put to it. But love is a very confusing thing, because when you think of love, you think of something personal that you've experienced, loving someone or loving yourself or whatever it is. But this is a love that's far greater than that, because the love that you've experienced has an opposite. And the love that all my gurus talked about has no opposite, you see. It's so great that it can embrace opposites. It can embrace even the absence of love. Then it doesn't matter. Everything is, you see. You want to be able to look at life, that everything is the same. So I might have a day where nothing goes right, where my computer goes down, everything's going wrong, I hurt my foot, whatever it is, everything is just going on and it's going really poorly. Then I might have another day that's great. I'm making lots of money, things are going well, I meet friends, whatever. For me, they're all same. I do, it's just the same to me. All these talks are the same to me, everything's the same to me. Things happen as they happen, but it has nothing to do with me. And my place is always the same. And it doesn't mean that I'm enjoying having a bad time, personally, but I am enjoying having a bad time as much as enjoying having a good time. But since it's not personal, it's not the same enjoyment that you're picturing. It's just a sense of being at peace with everything. You're just at peace with whatever happens. Life continues, and things go well and things go poorly, and it's like, it's boring. But this sense of being, of presence, is always new. You see, it has a whole different energy to it. So I let life go. What am I going to do? As long as this body's here, the life experiences continue. And so it does. But you know what? When this body dies, I will have no sense whatsoever that I died. How could I die? One time someone asked Ramesh about Nisargadatta dying, and he goes, how could my guru die? He was never born. You see? The essence of who you are doesn't know birth or death. Everything just is.
It's just a concept, isn't it? Birth and death. Just a concept.
Well, what it is a foundation of life in this world. This world is a lila, it's a dance of creation and destruction, of grace and concealment. All these things are going on. It's just this dance. And so basically what you have here is something that's better than any of the TV shows or movies that you know. It's higher quality. It has a lot of aspects to it that are very seductive. And they suck in all of your attention, just like a good movie would. You see? But that's all it is. This is a virtual reality. This is pretend. It's not real. In 1,000,000 years, what will be real about this? Nothing. Nothing. Nothing's real about it now. But because it's a good movie, it has that appearance. It gives off that appearance of reality. But when everything's the same, when God dwells within you as you, when all there is consciousness, how could anything be different? How could there be an individual separate from God? How could this be? It's impossible. It can't be. So, you live this little movie pretending that you are something you're not, and you enjoy it or not enjoy it, and there's a birth and then there's a death, and then, maybe you buy another ticket and come on again. Who knows? But you see, it's nothing to do with anything. Even the species, human species, how long will that be around? In 1,000,000 years? I doubt it. Most species only live 50,000 years, I heard. We'll have to find something else, maybe a happy dolphin with pliable thumbs,
There you go.
so I can make stuff. Like computers that you can stare at all day.
See, I think one of the hurdles I have is I think God is as good.
Yes.
And so you've got these mass murders and kids killing each other, and I think they're not in alignment with God. You know, it's like you said everyone's the same,
Yes.
and then I put these other folks over here in the not same cat. And so that's, been a little hurdle for me.
Well, think about it this way. I understand this is not unusual, you see. But if you think about it, God created everything. Is that true or not?
Mm-hmm.
So, and nothing is separate from God, right?
Right,
So, Hitler was God's child.
right.
So was Mother Teresa. You see? So you, because of your mind and the way you differentiate good from bad, you see something as right and something as wrong, and you can't imagine that which you came from, that which you are, could embrace that which you don't like, that which you know is wrong. You see? But you're thinking from a little mind. God isn't using a mind. God doesn't need a mind. Mind is just a simple tool for a body. It's not a tool for running the universe. In the universe, all kinds of shit is happening all the time. Planets are created, planets are destroyed. Suns arise, suns die. All this stuff is going on all the time, you see. Now, you would think, oh, bad, bad, bad. Planet died. Oh, good, good, good. Planet's created. You see, your mind picks and chooses. God doesn't have that. God is living in everything that is and everything that isn't, you see.
So it's kind of like I saw a falling star last night. Whenever I do, I feel really lucky.
Mm-hmm.
But there it is. It's the destruction of a
rock.
star.
Yeah.
And I'm all like, wow.
Yeah. You see, your mind picks and chooses.
Uh-huh.
And decides what-
assigns my own little meaning to each
Yeah.
event.
Right, but what I often say is like the terrorist comes to America and kills a bunch of people, and we say, oh, this is bad, this is terrible, how could this happen? And then in another country somewhere, they're celebrating. The infidels were killed, this is the greatest thing, this is God's glory. You see, it's silly, it's just perspective. And what you think, so even in your own life, you have events that happen that you think are just terrible, and they work out really, really well, and they change your whole life in ways that are unexpected. You had no idea. You can't trust your judgments. Then you have other things in your life that you think are really, really good, and you get the job you always wanted, and everything is working out, and you're making lots of money, and you hate it. And it works into something you really don't like. So you can't trust your mind's judgments. They're not reliable. So don't get too lost in it. Your mind is going to say God is good. God is great. But if God were really great, then God would be everything. You see? So God is everything. You got this world, it is filled with creation and destruction. It is filled with love, it is filled with war. It is filled with all these things. That's the way it was made, you see? So, you see the Shiva Lingam, where the Shiva is dancing. There's a big sun around it. Not Shiva Lingam, the entourage. Sorry. And where the sun is all around. And if you look under Shiva's foot, there's a baby being crushed. You see? It's all a part of the dance. It's not like bad Shiva, bad. How could you do this?
What did you do that for?
Yeah, really, why did you do that? That's part of how it is. So your concept, personal concept of God, is not correct. And it will take a certain acceptance that is greater than your personal acceptance to know how everything is embraced with love. Everything. Every single thing. You see? Humans, Ramesh always pointed out, he would say, he said, I understand that smallpox has been eliminated from the earth, the smallpox virus, and we think this is a great thing. And he goes, what about the smallpox virus? For the smallpox virus, this is complete annihilation. This is the worst possible scenario that could have happened.
Is it attachment to that? So if you can pull back enough to recognize and see the movie or the play, is it then that bit of ego that's keeping the meat suit going that attaches to those descriptions of things or the emotions with it?
Well, the mind is designed to do that.
Okay.
So the ego is just acting according to its design. The difference is your identification. So when these thoughts and feelings are yours, then it's like you're feeding them. And then they're yours, so they have, this personalization has all these side effects. So then when you have a thought, then you have a feeling, and you think, why? And then you don't like this, and you do like that, and there's all these side effects of
So you're
guilt.
owning it one.
Yeah, then it's like it has babies, and you got a whole village now, you see? But if, Ramesh used to say, the difference between a yogi and a bogey being a normal person. So a bogey has a thought, and then it's pursued. A yogi has, say, the same exact thought, but it's not pursued. You see? That's the only difference. But the difference is that the thought arises and then it subsides, just like in meditation. But for a normal person, the thought arises and then you attach a personal value to it and it gets fed. And then you have all these feelings and all these different thoughts arise from those, and now you're like living in a movie. You're living the dream. So you see, just if you can, people try and meditate, for an hour a day or whatever. It's 7:24. So really, that's all that enlightenment is 7:24 meditation. You still go on, you do whatever you do, but no one gets involved. So, even when you meditate, thoughts come up and no one gets involved, so it just comes and goes, if you're good at it. Otherwise, you're thinking about what you're going to cook for dinner. But if you're successful at meditating, then a thought arises and then it subsides. It's just like waves on the ocean. And then if you're really good, then they arrive less and less. You see, the mind is a funny thing. When you give it attention, it's like, it's like my cat, You give it attention, well, it's not like, well, that's enough for me, see? It will after a while, but it'll be back for more. So what Ramesh said is you treat your thoughts like an unwelcome guest. Now, Ramesh, he was Indian, but he was raised as a proper Englishman, because of his error. and stature. So what he meant was, by an unwelcome guest, someone comes over and you're not rude to them, but you don't pay them any mind. You don't engage them in conversation. If they ask you something, you have a one-word answer, and then you sit at your desk and maybe pay your bills or do something, and eventually the person, sees there's nothing there, and they leave. And maybe they'll come by a few more times here and there, but they're not going to stay long. But if you treat your thoughts like a welcome guest and you invite them over for dinner and you chat with them all the time, well, they're going to hang out. And they're going to be back again soon. You see? So you just allow, you can't do anything about it. Thoughts arise anyway. It's not like there's no thoughts in this head. Thoughts arise, but you don't have to invite them over for lunch. You can just let them. There's a few things you have to pursue. There's basic things in life. In order to be at work at 9, there's a whole list of things that have to get done. That's just called the working mind. But there's the thinking mind that's thinking about extraneous things that don't matter, that are not going to have any effect on just your functioning during the day. That stuff doesn't need to be fed. And so when it's not, your life suddenly becomes more peaceful. Yes?
Well, I got thinking about what you were talking a second ago, with like the Hitler situation, something like that. So my mind is trying to figure out what's the difference between you disapproving of something and me disapproving of something, right? And what I'm arriving at is like even big things like that maybe are a big issue amongst people, like say whatever movement's going on right now with the police or with the guns. Such an issue for you is just like any other issue. You might like have just an initial thought of disapproval, but you don't follow it and you don't really feel a necessity to go do something about it. Is that correct?
Well, I think what it is that you do those things that it's your nature to do. So certain people, it's just their nature when they see certain things to take action. You see? Other people not so much. So when you're moved to do something, you do it. But when you are not the doer, the consequences are just what they are. You understand? Things just happen. So you're still going to do what you do. Let the chips fall where they may, essentially. And you don't second guess yourself. But you're doing what it is you feel you should do in this life. Someone else in the same situation wouldn't feel like doing that. But in another situation where you wouldn't do anything, they would. You see, so you just follow what it is that you have resonance with. That's all. And don't second guess yourself, whatever. Maybe you do something that doesn't work out so well. Maybe you do something that does work out well. Maybe you do something you think's a mistake and it works out well. Yeah, who cares? Life just goes on. I don't get involved. I don't get involved with I don't ever think about it. Whether it's going to go well or not or anything like that. I just take whatever action I take, you see. Or not, as the case may be. So you are going to do what it is God designed you to do, whether you like it or not. And the sooner you get yourself out of the driver's seat and let God be in charge, the easier it will be for the me to be diminished. But when the me is in charge, you're going to have problems.
Yeah, I guess this helps out with that whole, it seems a lot of us, I mean me, I want to hold a certain standard to everybody of how everyone should act, you know, whether it's spiritually or like for society as a whole, but the truth is that that's just my thing, if anything. You know, like,
Well, good luck with that, you know?
yeah.
Everyone's going to behave according to the way they were designed. They can't help it, and you can't help it. You know, so as soon as you see your situation, when you see that there's nothing you can do about it, then you will also see it's the same for them. You might have a little more compassion if you have more compassion for yourself. Yeah.
I was reading something on yoga. I've been reading this book that I found. My brother passed me on. Would you call this yoga? Like, is this the type? I mean, it seems to be.
Yeah, it's in the ballpark. It's in the family.
Right.
You know, really, yoga means union,
Yeah.
and all I'm talking about is oneness.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's related.
Yeah, I mean, what I was reading was, it sounded all like this. So,
Mm-hmm. What book is it?
it's called Inner Engineering.
Hmm.
Sadhguru is the author. He's a guru.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, yeah, union, getting your body and mind in alignment, only to see that it's not you. And
You know, it's an ironic thing, but if you don't know who it is you think you are, it's very hard to move away from it. So if there's a profound ignorance of this body-mind, it will make it very difficult to move beyond it, because that gives the body-mind, the mind, the ego, too many back doors to involvement.
Well, it's a few little successes. Used to, I'd get very emotional, create stories. Now I can put it on pause and not call so-and-so and give them a piece of my mind.
Oh.
And if I put it on pause long enough, that energy just goes down, and I think it's much more peaceful that way.
Of course, and otherwise you have so much of your mind that you're willing to give it to other people.
That's right. So that pause, and you know, I have some relationships on pause for 10 years now, and things like that, like some are on pause for 2 months and maybe a day, and things, that's been really good. Like when you said, just put your mind on retirement,
Yeah.
I sort of shifted it to pause.
Yeah, the ego's worked very hard. It deserves to retire.
Yeah. Much smoother that way.
course.
than following those emotions and doing it and
It's a lot of work. And you
Yeah.
know, after a while it
creates
gets
a
boring.
mess.
Yeah,
Messy.
of course. Lots of residue.
Mhm. Well, you said, describe it as stickiness.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's what happens when you're personally identified with feelings. They become sticky. So then you have an anger and you can't shake it. You can't get rid of it. It just sticks to you and it bothers you.
Oh, I used to think it was a strength to be able to share a piece of my mind.
Yeah. But you should talk to the other people and see what they think.
I thought I was really being assertive, and man, that was a goal. So erase that goal.
Well, maybe you've already achieved it. Now you can move on. Where's the night papers?
Are you right hand?
No, these are my other ones.
Oh.
I can sum it all up. After the Enlightenment, very shortly, a poem came to me. Then a bunch of poems came to me. But this sums it up. If I can, I'll see. It's titled, I Am. I have no beginning, I am without end. I am your enemy, lover, and friend. To you I am nothing, for I'm always the same. My nature is timeless, I am without name. You can see me as God, you can see me as less, but nothing describes me, not even your best. For you cannot know me, 'tis I that know you, though I'm there in your words, what you think, say, and do. There is no thing and no one that differs from me. I'm your worst, I'm your best, I'm enslaved and I'm free. For nothing escapes me, nobody can, because nothing exists that is not what I am. I'm hiding, I'm seeking, all-knowing, confused. I'm giving, I'm taking, I'm loved and abused. Life is a dance through my infinite forms. I am all, I am nothing. I'm the calm in the storms. Though you try hard to see me, you miss my disguise, for it's I that is seeking myself through your eyes. I'm looking, I'm watching, I'm doing it all. I'm the fulfillment of dreams and their shattering fall. To you I seem something so great and so true, but I'll tell you a secret. 'Tis I that is you. That sums it up. It's just a simple case of misidentification. That's all.
So I've always identified nature as God, like, and I know a lot of people would pray to a cross or a Buddha or some other symbol, but it's true that all those are. It's not just one, so that would be okay to say that, nature would be my connection with God.
That's what you resonate with.
Mhm.
That's all. Someone else resonates with Ganesh. You see? Someone else with Durga.
So it's not
Someone
that they're not
Jesus.
God, it's just that they're sort of a channel or connector.
It's just where you resonate, where you find that peace that you call God. You see? It comes in all the forms. The thing I like about India is that they embrace all the forms. I mean, I remember one Christmas in India, someone put up this big plywood Jesus on the cross, and all the Indians, Hindu Indians, came up to the cross and touched the feet, and like it was any other deity. You see, it was all embraced the same. So it's fine. Whatever you resonate with. More people resonate with the dollar bill. And even more people resonate with themselves. That's what they think about all the time, so it must be God. But you see, I know what you're talking about. I used to experience that myself. You get into nature and you just, a feeling comes over you and you're experiencing the world totally differently. Like connected, part of it. You see? So, good. Yes,
Another question.
good.
So, what would you say would be like a good intellectual guideline for someone that's not enlightened to be able to discern someone that's a yogi and someone that's not a bogi? Because like, I see so many of us are stuck on the type of action that somebody is doing, but it seems to be not that so much as the way like you relate to your action or whether there's stickiness or not. And yeah.
I was always very lucky, but also I had good discernment, and I had certain people that I resonated with and others I didn't. Didn't mean they weren't enlightened, you see. I just didn't resonate. And then there were other ones I knew were quacks, right away. But, so I didn't even show up hardly. It's, I think that the sincerity that you bring to your search draws the teachers that are needed. You see? Now, most people on a spiritual path, honestly, they just want to be happy. That's how I started too. You see? And they just don't want to feel certain feelings, and they want to feel happy. You see? So they go to a guru like a shrink, But if you're sincere about knowing who you are, if that's really what you want in life, you will draw that teacher to you that can show you that. And you will also have the discrimination to know when it doesn't resonate, when it's not right for you. Okay? One time, Baba was asked, how come there's so many false gurus? And Baba said, because there's so many false disciples. So it's just it's the nature of it. Don't you have to trust like your gut, and you move forward. And even here's the thing: if you're following your heart, even if you make a mistake, it's okay. You see? Now, I told this story, I know you've heard it. When I was at the ashram, and I was at a point where, do I go back to my career and this and that, or do I stay here with Baba? I wanted to stay with Baba, And I actually heard a voice, and it said, go with the love in your heart, not the fear in your mind. So that's been like a guidepost for me. And you do notice in life that decisions made out of fear do not generally turn out that great. Now, sometimes decisions made out of love don't turn out that great either, but they teach you what you need to learn. It's sometimes what you need to learn just isn't easy. And the older you get, the harder it gets, because you've already learned all the easy stuff. All that's left is hard stuff. You see? So that's the nature of the beast. It doesn't mean that if you're on a true spiritual path, that it's just going to be joy and lightness from now on. It can be very difficult. That's a difficult decision to make. You see? And it means that you've committed to go through that hard stuff. So don't deceive yourself on that level. The difficulty is a gift. You don't always see it at first, but it is. It is. It's what teaches you what you need to know, and it teaches you in a way that you couldn't have learned any other way. You see? So when you're on the path of knowing who you are, then what you're doing is like Shiva crushing the baby. You're on a path of destroying that which you are not. You see? And that's not easy when you're confused about your identity. That's difficult. And that's okay. I mean, how long is the difficulty going to last? Lifetime? What? So what? An illusionary character was very upset for a long time. Boo-hoo. Hey, an illusionary character just realized who he was. Wow. Someone get the gold star. What I want to leave you all with is this idea of perspective. Just get a perspective on your life. This is just this short little movie that feels real, seems real. It's because God designed it, of course. It's a good design. It's hard to break free. But you are just a dust speck, living on a dust speck as an individual. But that which makes you who you are is something else entirely. It's unicity, it's oneness with everything. And we are all the same. We really are all the same. There's these different bodies with different thoughts and different feelings. That's not who we are. Our essence is identical. You see me talking to you, you're talking to me. You're asking a question, answering a question. There's no difference between us. Oneness fills the room. All there is this unicity. That's all there ever could be. But your mind tells you something else. If a carpenter took a hammer and some nails and some wood and built a house, and the hammer, as he was banging it, goes, "Look what I'm doing. I got this job all set up. I'm building the house. I got it together, man. I'm really doing something." And if the carpenter could hear that, he would just laugh his head off, put the hammer on the shelf, and say, "Good job." You want your mind to be your tool. You certainly don't want to be the tool of that mind. So that's it in a nutshell. Let's go. Anything? Okay. We'll sit quietly for a short time.